Hi, welcome to live stream Yoga with Louise, tips and cues to keep you safe and strong on the mat. Today's practice is all about committing to not quitting while we work strength and endurance. We're playing medium and low to the mat. As always, play where you're comfortable, modify when you need to, rest when you need to. You ready? Let's hit the mat. We're going to set ourselves up on the side of the body today, coming down onto the bottom elbow, bending and stacking the legs, making sure that our heels are following along the same line as our spine. We're not going to collapse into the mat. So we're coming out through the bottom shoulder and we're keeping the rib cage up nice and high throughout. Rest your top hand on your thigh or challenge yourself by tucking your top hand loosely behind your head and having your elbow tracking and reaching for the sky throughout as you lift and lower your bottom hip off the floor. One more. We're going to ground the bottom hip and we're going to come into a working clam line, opening and closing the top knee, keeping that top elbow in position. Last one, then we're going to combine the last two movement patterns together. Lift your hip off the floor, open the top knee, close and down. Last one, end with your bottom hip grounded and begin to play with the top elbow. Rotate to tap your elbow towards the floor and back. 5 times we're going to do this, keeping that bottom rib nice and high and not collapsing. Stay here or challenge the movement by bringing your bottom hip off the floor and playing with the same rotation for 5 more turns. Reground, make your way onto your back, bend your knees, ground your feet as if you were setting yourself up for a bridge line. Tucking both hands behind your head. Elbows nice and wide. We're coming into a chest lift, and once we found it, we're going to play with the elbows. Starting in neutral and keeping those elbows nice and wide. We're going to do a full tilt and imprint. We're going to bleed up into the chest lift. We're going to pause, elbows wide, and then we're going to squeeze the elbows into an imaginary, let's call it a soccer ball. Then open back up to T and back down to the mat. You're going to rinse and repeat for 10 turns. Holding those shoulders off the mat while you play with the elbows, making sure that you're never pulling on the head or the neck. Once you've completed the last one, relax the arms heavy at your side, or you can tuck the hands underneath the bottom. Keep the weight of your back and your shoulders pressing into the mat equally as you float the right leg up to 90. We're going to find a drop pattern on the right, dropping the leg towards the mat and pulling it back up to 90. Not rolling the body weight onto one side. Then using the big toe to trace a big basketball shape on the ceiling. Keep moving in the same direction. Change direction. Then use the same last two movement patterns to trace a teardrop. We're going to begin at the 90 line. We're going to drop slightly off center to the right. We're going to swing and catch to the left. And we're going to trace 5 of those teardrops in the same direction. And then we're going to change it up. And we're going to move in the opposite direction. Then ground your right leg to repeat on the left. Find your drop. End at the 90 line and trace that basketball-like frame on the ceiling, moving in the same direction for 10. Then 10 sweeps in the opposite direction. Then combine the two together to trace that teardrop, moving for 5 turns in the same direction. And then 5 in the opposite. Then find your way back onto the side of the body, finding your original position on the mat, bending the bottom elbow, making sure that you found your stack. And once you found your stack, extend the top leg on the mat. Top hand resting on your hip or elbow reaching to sky throughout as you lift and lower your hips off the floor. End with your bottom hip grounded and then lift the top leg to about hip height and tap back out 10 times. Keep that top elbow in position. Then combine those two movement patterns together. Lift the hip, lift the leg, and reground. Last one. We're going to find that rotation through the top arm, thinking elbow towards the floor. We're going to do this 5 times. And then we're going to see if we can challenge ourselves by doing the same rotation, but lifting the bottom hip and the top leg, holding in position while playing with that rotation. Find your way onto the back, bend your knees, ground your feet. We're coming back into that chest lift. And we're going to add some more movement through the arms. Both hands tucked behind the head. Remember to start with the elbows wide. Find your full tilt and imprint. Come up elbows wide. Squeeze the elbows into that soccer ball and then extend the arms and tap the outside of your knees, keeping that contraction before retracing your path back. We're going to do that 10 times. Once you've done your 10 repeats, you're going to relax the arms alongside the body, or you can tuck the hands underneath your bottom, palm down. We're going to extend both legs up towards the 90 line, and we're going to keep the feet softly clipped together as we find that drop pattern. It could be a small drop, maybe a quarter or only a halfway to the mat, or it could be all the way down. But make sure that you're keeping the work in the abs and not transferring it to your lower back. We're going to end with the legs at the 90 line, and we're going to trace a smaller ball on the ceiling. Maybe your basketball has shrunk slightly, and we're going to find it alternating that. One more in each direction. Then we're going to come to that teardrop and we'll play in an alternating fashion. You're going to come down off center, you're going to drop, swing, catch, and then you're going to trace in the opposite direction. And we're shooting for 10 complete sets. Once you've done your sets, you're going to bend the knees, you're going to hold loosely onto the knees, and we're going to cradle rock side to side. You're going to use that sideways rocking motion to roll over and set yourself up in a 4-point kneeling frame on the mat. Hands stacking underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. You're going to find a long tabletop stretch through the neck and the spine, and you're going to keep your belly button pulled into center, and then we're going to tuck the toes under, pulling our knees off the floor and finding our way into a bear hold. Hold. Then keeping the bear position, you're going to walk the legs back into plank and back to bear. We're going to do that 10 times. We're going to end in the bear, hold it. Find your way to a down dog and begin to play with the heels, lifting and lowering them off the mat while keeping the down dog frame, bum piped up nice and high, belly button pulled in to center. End with your heels grounded, hold that stretch, pull your belly button in. Then release your knees back down to the mat, keeping your toes loosely tucked under. We're going to extend the right leg. Try to keep those toes tucked under. We're going to lift and lower the right leg dynamically, keeping the toe tuck under position. Then we're going to release the feet so that we've got a long reaching line, and we're going to come into five oil riggers, or you can think of them as a 3-point push-up. It could be a small bend, it could be a bigger bend, nose and chin just off the floor, and you're going to shoot for 5 repeats. Last one. Then you're going to tuck your toes under on the back foot. You're going to anchor yourself, and you're going to reposition the front leg coming into a pigeon. You're going to release the back knee, shin, and foot. You're going to walk that back leg away. You're going to walk your hands up. You're going to wiggle through the hips. You're going to find that awesome stretch into the lead leg, and we're going to hold you for a slow count of 10. Then take a seat onto the bum cheek of the lead leg. Swing the back leg around. We're coming into a half lowered stretch. You're going to step to the outside of your lead knee. You're going to ground your floating bum, and you're going to twist towards your lead knee, grabbing opposite hand to knee, and you're going to hold that seated spinal twist for a slow count of at least 10. From here, you're going to untwist your legs, and you're going to find your way to a tall diamond seat at the top end of your mat. Make sure that you're not collapsing the weight of your body into your pelvis, so you're keeping a nice tall seat, shoulders stacked over knees. You're going to loosely tuck the hands behind your head. You're going to rotate off center to one side. You're going to open and reach through the arms, and then you're going to find an alternating pattern side to side. Let's do one more to each side, then we'll change the leg line. You're going to open up the legs, and you're going to set yourself up a saw line. Feet about mat width distance apart, actively braced. You're going to take a big breath in from a tall seat. On an exhale, you're going to twist to the right. You're going to reach the arms long. You're going to inhale to come back to center, and we're going to begin to work with our exhale. Long, reaching, extended exhale, and remember to look over the back arm. Last thing. Come back to your tall seat, bring the two legs together, hands on the outside of your legs as you fold forward. Then open up the legs into a straddle, hands on the inside, and lean forward. You're going to do that dynamically 10 times. You're going to hold the next fold with your legs together, count 10. And then open up into the straddle and hold for 10. Maybe creeping your hands forward, maybe pressing into your fingers, or maybe dropping down onto the forearms, clawing in with the pads of your fingers and holding that intense stretch into the inner thighs and the groin area. Then find your way back to a tall seat. You're going to flip over onto your side, and we're going to repeat that whole sequence one more time, favoring the second side of the body. Set up your bent and stacked line on the elbow of the bottom arm, top elbow tucked behind the head. We're going to lift and lower the hips for 10. Keep that top hand tucked behind your head and clam for 10. Then combine the two together, lift the hip, open the top knee, then down and close. Then look for that rotation on the top shoulder. First 5, bottom hip is connected to the mat without collapsing your frame. You're shooting for roughly 5 repeats, and then you're shooting for 5 with the bottom hip lifted off the mat. Reground, roll over onto your back, bend your knees, ground your feet. Elbows are nice and wide. We're coming into our chest lift. Elbows start wide, then they squeeze into that ball, and then you trace your path back. Try to keep the height once you've found your chest lift, and make sure that when you're squeezing your elbows in, that you're not pulling on the head or the neck. Once you've done your 10, you're going to relax the arms heavy at your side, or you're going to put hands on the bottom. We're doing the left leg up to the sky, and we're going to find our drop pattern for 10, keeping the weight of our shoulders and the weight of our back pressing equally into the mat throughout. End at the 90 line and trace that basketball on the ceiling. Roughly 10 traces in one direction and then 10 in the opposite direction. Then use the last two movement patterns to find your teardrop trace, moving for 5 turns in the same direction. Your drop, swing and catch, and then changing the trace for the further 5 counts. Change legs when you're ready and find your drop pattern. Then trace that basketball shape on the ceiling. Remember to change halfway. Then bring the two movements together to find that teardrop, drop, swing and catch. Five sets in each direction. Reground to the mat, roll over onto your side and find your original position on the mat. Tuck your top hand behind your head, elbow to sky. Extend your top leg. You're going to find your lifting and lowering pattern through the bottom hip. Then keep your bottom hip grounded and lift and lower your top leg. Now combine the two movements together. Last one, end with your bottom hip grounded and find that rotation through the top arm. 5, keeping your bottom hip on the floor and your top leg on the floor. And then maybe 5 with your bottom hip and your top leg lifted. Find your way onto your back, bend your knees, ground your feet, tuck both hands behind your head, and get ready for your chest lift. We're going to peel up into the chest lift, elbows wide. We're going to keep that height. We're going to squeeze the elbows in. We're going to reach to tap the outside of the knees, and then we're going to retrace our path back. Not rushing the sequence, thinking about each pit stop as you come into extension and as you retrace your path back. Let's do one more. Then either relaxing the arms alongside the body or tucking the hands, palms down underneath the bottom. We are going to extend both legs up towards the sky, keeping that soft squeeze along the midline. We're going to find a double drop pattern for 10. Then we're going to trace that ball on the ceiling. The ball has shrunk, and we're going to find an alternating pattern. Five more sets. Then we're going to clip the two together and we're going to find that alternating teardrop, drop, swing, and catch. Last one. Bend your knees, cup your hands around your knees, and play with that little side to side cradle rock through the lower back. Use that rocking motion to find your way into a 4-point kneeling front on the mat. Make sure that you've got enough room to extend the legs behind. Find that long tabletop stretch through the neck and the spine. Press the mat away, tuck your toes under, find your knee lift and your bear hold for 10. Then walk into plank and back to bear 10 times. End in the bear hold. Down dog it and play with your heels, lifting and lowering them dynamically off the mat. Keep belly to spine. End in the down dog stretch, hold it. Bend your knees, ground your feet, keep the toe tucked under position. This time we're going to work left leg. You're going to extend it out behind you. You're going to keep that toe tucked under position, not losing that long stretch through the neck and the spine. We're going to lift and lower the left leg dynamically. And in the lift, release the bridges of your feet. 5 oil readers. Let's do one more. Then anchor your back leg and reposition your front leg coming into a pigeon stretch. You're going to find the line. You're going to wiggle your hips side to side. Then you're going to settle into the pigeon and you're going to hold it for a slow count of 10. We're assuming a high pigeon stretch on the mat today. And then when you're ready, you're going to use this pigeon line to set up your half-lord seated twist. Take a seat onto your right sit bone. You're going to swing the left leg around, finding an anchor on the outside of your right knee. You're going to wiggle walk the right foot out the way. You're going to take a seat on both bum bones and you're going to twist towards your top knee, grabbing opposite hand to knee and holding the twist once you've found it. Looking over that back shoulder for the back end of your mat. Hold the twist. Then when you're ready, unravel your legs and find your way into a tall, proud diamond seat. Tuck both hands loosely behind your head, rotate to one side, open up and reach through the arms, and start to find an alternating pattern. Find your rhythm. Roughly 2 more sets to go. Last one. You're going to open up your legs into your saw line and you're going to begin to play with the breath as you rotate to one side, long reaching arms. One more to each side, and then we'll come into that straddle play, alternating between bringing the legs together, hands on the outside as we lean forward, then legs wide, hands on the inside, and you're going to play dynamically for at least 10 repeats. Finding your rhythm. Keep belly to spine throughout. Let's do one more of each. We're going to hold the next fold with the 2 legs together. Then hold the straddle, maybe walking the hands out, fingers high on the mat or pressing in with your palms. Then hold the straddle line while you walk your hands back towards your body line, taking a nice tall seat. Float the left arm overhead, bend at the elbow, reaching for the sky with your elbow. Then take the right fingertips, reaching for the left elbow and tuck it in towards the center, holding that stretch with your chin line, soft and relaxed, keeping that tall straddle seat. Then hug the left arm in towards your chest. Run your right arm down the chain. Reach for that wrist and give it a little tug. Hold. Let's repeat on the other side. Right arm to sky, bend the elbow. Then reach overhead for that elbow and tuck it into center. Then hug the right arm in towards your chest. Run your hand down, reach for that wrist, give it a tug. Center align yourself. Arms relaxed at your side. Long, deep inhale in for 10 as you angel wing the arms overhead. Long exhale for 10 as you angel wing back down to the mat, relaxing your arms heavy at your side at the end of the exhale to nod your chin to your chest and end off today's practice. Thank you so much for coming out and for playing with me today. Till next time, keep it light.